Welcome back, everybody, to another reaction to an epic rap battle of history. Well, holy cow, you guys can't seem to get enough of this. My best performing videos right now on this channel are my reactions to these. A couple of things I've noticed, though, before we dive into today, which is going to be Thanos versus Robert Oppenheimer. One of the things I noticed is that it seems like there's a drop-off if I do more than one. A lot of people will watch the first one but not the second one, so I've decided I'm only going to react to one at a time now, but I'll try to do them a little more frequently. The other thing is that I've noticed that the vast majority of people who watch the epic rap battle videos are not subscribed. So I need you to do me a huge favor right now before you do anything else, before you watch the rest of the video. I want you to go down right there to where it says subscribe, hit that subscribe button for my channel. Make sure you're also subscribed to Epic Rap Battles of History like I am. Hit that notification bell. That way every time there's content, whether it's a live stream, it's a reaction video, it's some of my original content from visiting historic sites, you won't miss it. Make sure you join us over on Discord to continue the conversation about history. Let's go ahead and dive into what we're talking about today, which is Thanos versus J. Robert Oppenheimer. Now, obviously, we're dealing with a fictional character from the Marvel universe, and then, of course, a historical character. But I think anybody who understands history knows the connection here. The connection is that both of them have to do with the destructive forces involved. You know, Thanos is the guy who snaps his finger because he's wearing the Infinity Stones in Marvel and he wipes out half the universe. Oppenheimer, of course, is on the team who develops the atomic bombs, Fat Man and Little Boy, which were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And there's a lot we'll get into with all of that as we go along, but I'm going to judge this fairly. I'm not just going to say, okay, because Oppenheimer was the historic character, I'm going to choose him. I'm going to judge it on the merits of the material. And some of you have commented that you like it better when I wait until there's the end of a line rather than interrupting in the middle. So I'm going to try to take notes and do it that way. Just want to say up front, from what I know of Oppenheimer, a lot of it comes from, I watched a movie a few years back called Fat Man and Little Boy, which tells the history, and my understanding is it seems to have gotten a lot of it right, so I would recommend that one to you if you want to watch the story of the Manhattan Project and how they developed the bombs. But let's go ahead and dive in and see what this one has to offer.
Bottles of her stew. J. Robert Oppenheimer. Tasset.
Inevitable, immeasurable, inexorable, monstrous, with bars weighing on you harder than your haunting, guilty conscience. I am Thanos, and I crush tracks like tesseracts in my palm. You're a pencil-pushing Terran who never learned to love his bomb. Seems you started off a chemist, and on your world you were a prodigy. Well, that makes sense, cause your rhymes are only hot periodically. Man, I burned the Avengers down to embers, sent half your planet to be slaughtered, and now I'm off in Oppenheimer like I did to my daughter. Got a physical when I'm rapping. 6 infinity gems when I'm packing. Stick your tiny nuclear dick back into your pants, Dr. Manhattan. Hadron smashing all your atoms. Best not collide with me when I'm rhyming, cause you break and bleed so easy. I think I'll call you Oppenheimer.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I don't know how much more he's got to go, but there's already a lot to cover. Of course, he talks about being inevitable, and there were a lot of references to Marvel in there, and I'm not going to touch on too many of those. I'm primarily concerned with history, but I did see that one, and he talks about Oppenheimer's guilty conscience, and that was something that was an issue later in his life, especially. I think Oppenheimer died in the 60s. He and Einstein and a few others were very concerned about the use of the bomb long term, and they appealed. I think they were really hoping the United Nations would be able to step in and keep the nuclear arms race to a minimum, but obviously they got to see what that became, primarily between the Soviet Union and the United States. So he was had a lot of guilt over that. Talks about him being a chemist. I don't understand a lot about his background. I know he was a theoretical physicist. I think he got his doctorate in his 20s. Or in the 1920s. I don't know how old he was at the time. I know he was a chain smoker, had a lot of nervous issues, had a very, let's say, complicated private life that I'm sure they'll get into a little more. Thanos talks about his daughter. Obviously, he sacrifices his daughter getting the Soul Stone, I think it was. His daughter Gamora. That's part of that whole story. And then he mentioned Manhattan, which, of course, the Manhattan Project was the project in the United States to develop the first nuclear weapon, the atomic bomb.
Impossible to Tommy. You just don't have the stone. Apparently the only thing you're good at wrecking is a home. Cause you slept with your friend's wife right there in your friend's bed, then got another married girl pregnant. You should have gone for the head.
Okay. As I mentioned, complicated home life. Oppenheimer was only married once, but he had some affairs, and I think one of those affairs pretty much lasted for a lot of his marriage. I remember from the movie, and I remember looking this up later, that it was true that the one woman he had an affair with, it became a security issue during the Manhattan Project because it was found out about, and several of the women he was involved with had ties to communists, and he had some ties to communism as well, and this became an issue later on after the war during the whole Red Scare and the House Un-American activities. He was investigated and all of that, and they wanted to revoke his security clearance. And I believe his wife, the woman he did marry, he was her fourth husband, and she had been previously married, I think, to a communist who died in the Spanish Civil War. So a lot of really complicated layers to his story. And the girl he was having the affair with during the Manhattan Project ended up, I believe, took her own life. So, like I said, just a lot of complicated issues going on while this guy is trying to invent a bomb that would change history.
Listening to you took everything I have left. After your raps, I am become deaf.
So he says, I am become deaf. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't interrupt in the middle.
You need an Iron Man for that wrinkly ass skin and that butt chin. Here we go now. Where's your rhythm? I thought you had the time stone. Your punchlines sound like they came from Rhyme Zone. You might be something in the MCU, but between us, who's the worst MCU? Your dialogue's got too many breaks in the syllable. You talk so slow, Drax thinks you're invisible. I cause chain reactions when I'm lyrical, cause I've got that fissile material. You were born to Eternals, but came on looking so scary that your own mother tried to make you a temporary. Meanwhile, I've mastered the atom more than any man alive. Now I'm here to split you like 2 and 3 from 5. I'm a peaceful man, but I do what I must. You had an evil plan, Thanos, and it left you in the dust. It must leave you enraged when you compare our talents, because in this battle, there is no balance.
For a communist.
All right, so far I'd have to give it to Thanos just on content so far. Thanos seemed to have a lot of Oppenheimer's was just responding to him, but when he says, I am become deaf, that's obviously an allusion to the quote that he says he remembered and he thought of at the time that the bomb went off, which was a quote from Hindu scriptures, which was, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. He also mentioned there was another thing that he remember the time. I don't remember the quote, but it was also another Hindu scripture. But obviously that's a reference to that. And there's actually a video of Oppenheimer in the 60s talking about that toward the end of his life. I think he may have been dying of cancer by that time. And he talks about that quote, and he mentions that quote again. He mentions chain reactions, which of course are, that's the integral part of the atomic bomb, was that they were starting a nuclear chain reaction, and as this chain reaction causes multiple explosions, it releases all this energy, and that's what causes the bomb. Fissile material has to do with the material that they developed, and I think he mentioned something about split U from 2 and 3 from 5. I think that's probably some kind of a uranium reference. Over in Tennessee, I think it was Oak Ridge, Tennessee, was one of the places that they were trying to produce the material. One of the bombs was uranium, one of them was plutonium. Fat Man and Little Boy were the two bombs. And of course he makes a reference to balance, which is Thanos' whole idea that he was trying to bring balance to the universe by wiping out half the population.
Pariah, you come off as awfully cocky, but I'll make you bend the knee in round 2 like Nagasaki. I'm the box office topper, the Marvel showstopper. Got my name on this win like it's the Thanos copter. You just got no answer for Fortnite's dopest dancer. I will low-key choke you out like my name was throat cancer.
You wanna talk about death? How about the one that looked at you and swiped left? I'm the destroyer of worlds. You got your nuts handed to you by a squirrel, girl. We're in the end game now, Tinky Winky. A physicist like Ant-Man, all up in your stinky. Anyone who believes that Thanos did nothing wrong crap has obviously never heard you rap. Oh, snap.
Oh, whoa!
Okay. All right, so that last one there, so we've got the reference to Oppenheimer being communist being mentioned there. A mention of Nagasaki, which was the second bomb that that was dropped on Japan. Nagasaki was not the target. I don't remember the name of the city that was, but Nagasaki was the backup target. And they had sent another plane that was like an hour or two ahead of the one that, I think Boxcar was the name of the plane that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. And there was cloud cover. And so they couldn't hit the primary target, so they chose Nagasaki. And there was still some cloud cover issues by the time they got to Nagasaki, but they figured they had to drop it regardless. And so they didn't hit where they were supposed to drop the bomb because they couldn't see. And that actually caused, like, it landed down in a valley or something. It mentions Fortnite. My kids love Fortnite, and Thanos, of course, is one of the people that, you know, you can get the skin for in Fortnite. Throat cancer is a reference to Oppenheimer's death. He, like I said, was a chain smoker, constantly smoking cigarettes, and of course then he develops throat cancer, which shouldn't be a huge surprise for a guy like him. But like I said, a very complicated individual with a lot of baggage going on behind the scenes. But obviously a guy who changed the world because of everything that he did. There's references to Endgame, and then the snap at the end where he says, "Oh, snap," referring to Thanos. So I'm torn here with who I think won, but I feel like Thanos won just on content. I feel like his disses on Oppenheimer were better than the ones that Oppenheimer had on Thanos. So I'm going to go against the historical grain here a little bit and give that one to Thanos. But I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm sure there's stuff I missed, little subtle things, or just things that I kind of overlooked and moved on to other ones. But let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. Please hit like, and please, please, please hit that subscribe button. There's a lot of other content besides just my reactions, and this spring I'm going to be getting out there and doing a lot more visits to historic sites, and eventually some trips coming to the UK and France that I would love for you to follow us along for that journey. So subscribe, hit like, check out the original content. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.